Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Basketball Maestros podcast. Thank you for joining us today. NBA season is officially underway. The first couple of days of the season. Um, Pretty exciting to have basketball back. We're going to be giving our thoughts on the season thus far. Um, Talk about NFL as well. Give our thoughts on our fantasy teams in basketball so far as well. And yeah, we'll just see where that takes us down the road. Um, so we can just start off with NFL Week 6. Um, as I said last show, the Saints have just disappointed me week in, week out. So expectations have been very low going into each week. You know, against the Bengals, I was kind of expecting a lopsided loss, but came out pretty strong. I honestly forgot how big our lead got, but I know it was a pretty decent lead to come out of the gates with against the Bengals. But sure enough, everything came crashing down as expected. Um, there's only so much the States can do with just so much injuries at needed positions. Um, there's just only so many things that the Saints can do with just so many injuries. Chris Olave being out, Jarvis Landry being out, Michael Thomas, as I mentioned, has been out, and Marshawn Lattimore being a guy that usually matches up against the top receivers like Jamar Chase. He had a breakout game, which is expected, not having Lattimore there. So overall, the Saints have just been looking pretty suspect. And now sitting at 2-4, heading into Thursday night football against the Cardinals, who are also a team that's struggling mightily. So we'll see how that game pans out. You know, the nationally televised games have not been great uh, of recent memory, so I wouldn't be surprised if this game falls into part of that. Um, at the time of this recording, we'll find out how well that game went. Hopefully, it went well, but time will tell. So, going in to the rest of the season, still have 11 more weeks to go, which seems like an eternity. But yeah, still maintaining the low expectation and just see where I wind up. So that's kind of just where I stand. Keep it short and sweet.
So Raiders obviously had a bye week, and now we come into week 7 of the NFL season, which is actually kind of absurd to say. Feels like it's been moving by really fast. But we play the Houston Texans, who are one of the worst teams record-wise in the league, along with the Raiders. But I've been feeling, obviously we should win this game, and I think what I've already mentioned multiple times on this podcast, that our schedule gets easier, this is kind of the run that we're going to need to make. And it looks like, at least from all the press conferences I've seen from McDaniels and Carr and our coordinators and, even Devonta Adams, it looks like, the team, despite being 1-4, still believes that they can make a run and make a, playoff run coming up here. And honestly, there's no reason not to believe it. I think everyone in that building believes that they could be 5-0 right now, just despite being a little unlucky and misplaying some situations. But, you start out this weekend playing a pretty bad Texans defense, and their offense has some weapons on it. Damian Pierce has been looking good. Nico Collins, Cooks, and, Davis Mills. That's still, you prefer to have a better offensive line a little bit, but those weapons still aren't bad. So we definitely can't take this team for granted. Look what happened with the Titans. You feel like that team, there's just no way we lose to them, and then lose to them on the road. But this is where we need to turn it around. This is where things kind of need to look better for our season, and I fully believe the Raiders can get it done. But real quick, I want to talk about some New York football, baby.
Sir.
New York football is back, and it is kind of absurd to think about. The New York Giants are 5-1, and the New York Jets are 4-2. Now that is something I don't think I would have been saying at the beginning of the season. I don't think many people would have believed that, but the Giants past 2 weeks have beat the Packers and the Ravens, and the Jets coming off their big win against the Packers. And wow, I mean, both of these coaching staffs, both of these teams, I mean, despite the lack of talent and the lack of, what people really thought of, how these rosters kind of shaped up. I mean, they look like they have bought into what their coaches are trying to sell them. And, the Giants with Dayball and Mark Winkendale, they are insane. I mean, the Dayball was literally the perfect hire. I wanted the Raiders to get him coming from Buffalo, and obviously we ended up with McDaniels, but Giants get Dayball, and this team is just look completely different. I mean, they're playing with heart. You can tell that that defense is running around the field, making plays, and you know, kind of you look at the schedule coming up. You have Jags, Seahawks, Texans, and Lions. Now, if they keep it up, the Giants can be 9-1, 10 games into the season, and going into their next game, which would be, I think, a Thanksgiving game, it looks like, against the Cowboys, you know, that would be an absolute, I mean, 9-1. I don't think anyone could have seen this. And this is Giants fans are thriving right now because this is not, they are not used to this after the past couple of years. But, you know, I'm really excited to see what they do. Saquon looks amazing. Daniel Jones is not turning over the ball for once in his career. And the one thing they really need is just for their receivers to get healthy, because I don't think they have a single receiver over 200 yards through 6 weeks in the season. So, I mean, they can get healthy and, you know, get those receivers to kind of, produce a little bit more, this team can be dangerous. I'm just still a little bit scared of when they play those better teams. Don't get me wrong, the Ravens are a really good team. I mean, the Packers are have their downs this year, but you know what I mean. When they play like the Eagles and they play, in the playoffs when they go against the Bucks and those top tier teams in the NFC, despite the Bucks looking rough as well, I'm just kind of excited to see how they step up and how much the culture has really changed in New York. And just real quick, move over to that second New York team, the Jets, which in my opinion is even more surprising. And yes, this defense is absolutely rocking right now. I mean, Sauce Gardner is just insane. Quinnen Williams is playing out of his mind right now, and with Robert Saleh at the helm, they are looking good. I mean, I really liked him coming out of that 49ers staff, and it took a couple years, but now this team's definitely kind of buying in and buying into what this coaching staff wants to do. And I mean, despite yes, they've beaten Mitchell Trubisky, Kenny Pickett, Skylar Thompson, and Aaron Rodgers, who doesn't look like he's looking good with his thumb injury right now. I mean, those three quarterbacks definitely aren't the most insane offenses as late, and now they get the Broncos and Patriots, which I mean, those offenses actually, Zipper is, I mean, Zappy. We call him Zipper for some reason. But Zappy, who is obviously playing pretty well. I mean, if they can win those two games, go 6-2. I mean, these teams are just looking great this year, and I'm really honestly kind of happy for both of them. I mean, these two teams have been poverty franchises for the past couple of years, and something that is kind of crazy to me when you look at the NFC real quick, just to before we talk about basketball, is right now it's the Eagles, Vikings, Bucks, Niners leading the divisions. Then it's the Giants, Cowboys, and Rams who are the wild card teams. And you look at this, I mean, the Packers aren't in the playoffs right now. Now that is something that is pretty wild to me. And if the Rams and Packers keep up their struggles and the Falcons and Seahawks kind of keep playing like they are and keep, winning games, there's a world where we can see a playoffs with the Vikings, Giants, Falcons, and Seahawks. Now, You tell me if you expected that at the beginning of the season, because I would call you a psychopath. Um, I mean, a world where Matthew Stafford and Aaron Rodgers are not in the playoffs for the first time, and I mean, we're not used to seeing Stafford, but this Rams team and this Packers team, where I mean, they've been kind of locked since their quarterbacks have been there, and now there's a reality where if Rodgers' thumb or whatever, I know one of his fingers isn't feeling good, and if they can't get on the same page, there have been things with LaFleur and Rodgers where Rodgers wants to simplify it, and then you kind of see LaFleur come out and saying, or well, Rodgers saying he wants to simplify the offense. Feels like it's kind of hard for these younger guys to kind of learn the offense and understand. And you have LaFleur coming out saying, I don't even know what that means. I mean, it's a little interesting right now in Green Bay. I really hope they figure it out, but you know, this NFC can kind of get a little crazy. But I mean, the AFC, it's kind of what you expected. Bills, Chiefs, Titans, Ravens. Um, and then you have the Chargers. Obviously, you didn't expect the Jets and the Colts, but it's gonna be AFC is gonna be kind of tight. I mean, if the Raiders somehow get on that winning streak, they can boost up the seedings. You still have the Bengals and Dolphins, Patriots at 3-3, Colts at 3-2. I mean, even the Jags at 2-4, and the Browns at 2-4 as well. Whenever Watson comes back this season, I mean, the AFC and the NFC are definitely looking close right now. And I mean, it's only week 7, and I mean, it's gonna get interesting. This season is looking great so far, and I'm really excited to see how it closes out. Um, but I mean, yeah, I mean, New York football, baby. Who would have expected?
Oh man, yep. I honestly have more enjoyment watching the Jets at this point. Like
The Jets are
we
good.
seriously live in a world where the Giants and Jets are just better than all of our friend group's favorite teams at this point, which is something I never thought I'd see in my lifetime, to be completely honest with you. Like I couldn't even tell you the last time I remember the Jets actually being good, but hey man, um they definitely have the meme factor. You love to see it. You know, every Sunday we look forward to watching the Jets on that field. So
It real quick. It started out as like a joke because a friend had Brees Hall for people who play fantasy. He had Brees Hall and like Elijah Moore and Conklin, their tight end, and we'd always watch, and it was atrocious. It was bad. And when Zach Wilson came in, and we hyped up that Steelers game because he was excited to see Zach Wilson take over. And it's just now, I mean, Zach Wilson has been playing all right. I mean, he hasn't really lost them a game yet, but I mean, the fact that the Jets are just almost put up 30 points twice in a row. Like, what? I don't think like anyone expected that. I mean, that's just wow. And now they go play. If they lose to the Broncos, all hype is lost, to be honest, because the ride is
I believe.
the ride is just not riding at all. It is off the tracks. It's off the
uh,
road. I wanted to talk about the Broncos, but I can rant about how bad they are for too long, and I want to make sure we can talk about good old Laker Nation before things end off. But yeah, um, let's just hope these teams don't choke because they have winnable schedules, and it would be hilarious to see the Jets at 6-2 until they play the better teams and the Bills. But it'd be hilarious to see the Jets go 6-2 and the Giants a possible 9-1. So I mean, wow, NFL baby.
you know, watching Joe Flacco throw 58 checkdowns a game and just
Dude, 50 pass attempts, man. He's like 40, dude. What are we
oh,
doing?
literally having a backup throw nearly 60 times in a game is absolutely hilarious. And just to touch on the Broncos a little bit, whenever I see them play, like they've been on the big stage way too many times, it feels like, and I never watch it. I just love going on Twitter and just seeing all the great memes about
Oh,
Bronco country and POV memes of how the ride's going. It's just so great. And I feel like that's just does me good just by looking at those memes and spending time I'll never get back on the Broncos. So that's our little NFL um week 6 reactions. Now moving on to the NBA regular season is officially back. Last show we gave our predictions for opening night, which kicked off with the Sixers going to Boston and the Lakers heading to San Francisco on ring night. Personally, I predicted the Celtics to win and the Lakers to win. We'll get to the Lakers in a second. I have a lot to say about that. So, Sixers at Boston. I had this one being a close one, but Boston just having home court. I just think all signs were kind of pointing to them winning. It was a pretty close game all the way up to the fourth quarter, like end of the third. Boston got a little hot and Philly got a little stagnant towards the end of that quarter, and it got away from them. And it's kind of hard for them to get back into the game. They cut it down, I believe, to like 6 or something. They're within striking distance, but just couldn't get over the hump. I think Jalen and Jason just went completely off, both dropping 35 points. So if you have those two guys dropping 35 each, like, you're probably gonna win that basketball game. And sure enough, they did. But going to the Sixers side, I think James Harden looked really, really strong that game, dropping 35 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists while shooting 9 for 14. Couldn't ask for a better game out of James Harden. Also shooting 5 for 9 from downtown. Just overall, just a really great game from Harden. You love to see it, after all the trash talking, all the Twitter memes and all that of just Harden being out of shape and all that. I haven't always been the biggest fan of Harden's play style, but then again, coming into this year, I expected him to have a bounce back year. Granted, it's only one game, but I think you definitely want to see Harden come out of the gate strong like he did against Boston. He also drew a lot of 3-point shots that ended up in fouls. Whether you like the foul baiting or not, he's still getting the respect out of defenses. Like, defenses are still closing him out, even though he's not the greatest shooter in the world. He's like probably around average in terms of shooting, but he's definitely still keeping defenses on their heels. So that's also a great sign. Embiid, he looked solid as well. 26 and 15, 5 assists, shot 50% from the field. Took 6 threes, only made 1, which is a little concerning, but not much to be concerned about. Embiid, I really like this Sixers roster. I think it's really strong. I like the additions of D'Anthony Melton, Daniel House Jr. Overall, I just think they're a deep team and they're going to be scary come around playoff time. But overall, a really entertaining game out of the Sixers in Boston. If you have any thoughts on that game.
Yeah, my predictions were 0 for 2. I had Sixers coming out and beating the Celtics, and I mean, like you said, I mean, when you have Tatum and Brown putting up 35 each, I mean, it's going to be hard. But that Celtics team, I mean, they look really good with, I mean, Marcus Smart's always been a good piece for them. Grant Williams looked pretty good for me. Blake Griffin, I mean, people were saying, I mean, it looked really weird to see him in, like, what was the jersey number? It was like
91.
91, and he's in a Celtics jersey. Like, it's just doesn't look right. I mean, with Derek White and Malcolm Brogdon, this team definitely is and has the depth to make another good run. and obviously they showed it Tuesday night. And just to kind of go into the Sixers, I mean, I was really high on Harden this year. I really kind of thought that he kind of have a bounce back year. That's why I wanted him in fantasy, but things don't work out sometimes. But I mean, I think the Harden and Maxi kind of guard duo is going to look really well. And it did look well. I mean, um I was kind of high on that duo kind of coming in, and then obviously having Joel and Tobias is another piece that's there, PJ Tucker, and then obviously getting, Melton and House is all like great pickups. And this team looks a lot better than last year. I think they look deeper, they look more complete. Um, and I'm honestly kind of really excited to see how far they can go. I think that this team, if Harden could kind of keep up how he played, I think this team can go really deep. You kind of want to see Joel shoot a little bit better, especially from the 3-point line, but it's okay. He'll take it. You also kind of want him to see him cut down his turnovers. Had 6, which I mean, honestly, it's fine. First game of the season. Who really cares? But no, I think those two teams can be top 4 seeds in the East, and I don't think anyone would be surprised if they accomplish that. Um, do you want me to talk about the Lakers first, so you can?
You go ahead. You go
I think
ahead.
I think I think that's the smarter decision. Golden State Warriors hosting the Los Angeles Lakers Tuesday night. It was ring night for the Warriors. Um, Tip off was scheduled for 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Oh,
Felt like it started like at 6:40. Like it was kind of atrocious
yeah,
at
it
how
was
how
so
long it
bad.
took. But no, I mean I predicted the Lakers were gonna win by like double digits. That clearly didn't happen, but that's okay. All I have to say about this game, in my opinions, was 10 for 40. And what you guys can
Oh,
think about what that is. Lakers made 10 3-pointers and attempted 40. So you
oh,
could kind of think about how bad that is. They shot 42% from the field, 25% from 3. Um I mean 42% from the field's fine, honestly, like I guess, but you just look at the 25% from 3 and you just kind of know, wow, we cannot shoot. And I mean, we knew that coming in. We knew that this team wasn't going to be able to shoot. And I mean, we really shouldn't be surprised at what happened. The Warriors looked kind of shaky coming out in the first half. They kind of weren't really hitting their shots. And honestly, I mean, it was a 7-point game, I think, going in the halftime. So as a Laker fan, and we were like, wow, we'll take this because I mean, we should be down by a lot more. And then that good old third quarter for the Lakers came around, and I mean, it's kind of the same story as last year. Couldn't really do anything in the third quarter, and then so the Warriors kind of ran away with it, but then gave us a little false comeback hope in that fourth quarter. But all I saw was a bunch of hustling, and with what the good old Reggie Miller said on that good old broadcast, if you hustle, that earns you minutes, and that's what I saw from Wenyan Gabriel. He was okay. I'll stop with this stupid jokes, but no, but for real, this team, it's not gonna last this season. If it's just the shooting isn't there, the forward depth is just not there, and I mean we knew these things coming into the season. We're starting Lonnie Walker, and it's just yeah, he looked good in the preseason, but I mean still, regardless, it's just not. It's not gonna. I don't know. This team's gonna. If Rob doesn't make a trade, then oh wow, we're gonna be in for an interesting little off season, aren't we? But play the Clippers tomorrow, and
Lord
oh
help us
Lord
all.
have Lord have mercy, because
Lord help us all.
I cannot wait to see Pat Bev competing out there guarding PG and Kawhi, because
Oh my
that's what's about to
god.
happen. But I'll just kind of those are kind of my thoughts. I mean, Warriors were kind of playing nice with us until they decided to hit every shot like they should have been all game in the fourth quarter, and we can't shoot for to help to save our lives. But I mean, this team, don't judge them until Troy Brown, Dennis, and Thomas come back because
True.
it's not fair. But those are kind of my thoughts, and we'll let we'll let Matt take it away here. Just wanted to really give him the spotlight here because just real quick before he talks, you should have seen this man during the game. I've never heard someone slam their desk more. It was
Bro,
bad. But yeah, Matt, what were your thoughts on that Tuesday night opening night?
no.
Uh,
My LA Lakers, my good old Los Angeles Lakers, the team I've been following since I was in kindergarten, you know, didn't know what I expected coming into this game, but I came in with low expectations and somehow I got even more disappointed than the expectations I already had. So, heading into this game, it was a recipe for disaster, almost an hour later than the supposed start time of the game. The Warriors, granted, they won a championship. They took their sweet time doing all the ceremonial stuff, but finally got to the game, and man, was it a disaster to say the least. You know, it really says something when the Warriors just were far from playing their best basketball. Steve Kerr came out and said, I'm not playing my guys high minutes because of conditioning. He said Clay's only playing like 19 minutes, and sure enough, he played 19 minutes. Draymond only played 24. So when a head coach is coming out after a championship and basically implying that he doesn't really take this game seriously, he doesn't really respect his opponent because he's not playing his main guys. Granted, short off season, whatever, but you're only playing Clay 19 minutes. That just tells you how Steve Kerr views the Lakers, and every team should view us this way. Just I don't know what was going through Rob's head. Like this whole off season, just signing guard after guard after guard, just making stupid decisions. Like when Patrick Beverly came on, I know he was definitely thinking, oh, don't worry, we have Pat Bev when Russ is gone, so this is a good assurance. Oh man, Dennis Schroeder, he's balling in Germany. We really should pick him up to back up Pat Bev. Oh, teams are starting to get interested in him. All right, let's sign him before we trade Russ. We'll definitely trade Russ before the season, right? Fast forward to October 20th, the game after this. Russ is still on the team, and we are left with an abundance of guards. You have Lonnie Walker, Pat Bev, Russell, K Nunn, Austin Reeves. That's 5. 6 with Dennis when he comes back. 6 guards, 6 guys who are not above 6'3", probably. So that's a disaster. You have no wings. JTA is your one wing that you can probably look at and think, okay, this guy is, Lord help us, gonna guard the premier wings of this league. Played 14 minutes, put up a goose egg, 0 for 3 from threes, or from 3. I think he even airballed 1, so that's great. But Austin Reeves comes in, every Laker fan and their mom is high on Austin Reeves. 3 points in 16 minutes. A guy that we view as just the second coming of Christ at this point, and doesn't impress at all. Patrick Beverly is taking threes with guys right in his face, taking step back threes. Like, oh my God. And then the guy that we put our whole spending power into, obviously, since you have three guys that make over 40 something $1 million, you're left a little limited, and you have one arrow to shoot in free agency, and you pick a guy who's a guard and is not a good shooter, and you pair him next to LeBron. You have to start him, I think, if he's making 6 something million. And what does he do? 5 points in 29 minutes, shooting 2 for 7, 0 for 3 from 3. And Daniel mentioned it, 10 for 40 from 3 is just absolutely abysmal. But Darvin Ham's interview, we just got to keep getting the reps, because if we keep putting the reps in, our league average guys are just going to become snipers, right? Just keep putting the reps in. Just keep putting up 43s a game. See where that takes us. You have LeBron coming out saying, wow, our team cannot shoot. Opponents are going to give us open looks. I don't know why LeBron signed an extension if he saw this as the roster. Like, you got to hold this front office accountable, bro. Like, Rob Pelinka, I think he's just viewed as a puppet. Like, Genie just views Rob as a guy to keep the stars happy, keep LeBron, AD happy, keep Clutch happy. We have a lot of Clutch clients. We had so many in the past, 3 or so years now. And they keep coming in through the door because Rob is just such a nice man, helping out Clutch clients, you know what I'm saying? And this team is just so many malpractices as a very vital position in an organization. You're the guy who's viewed as putting a competent roster together, nonetheless making a roster for the LA Lakers, the most pressured organization in the league. Everybody is looking at the Lakers constantly, always analyzing their little move. Every single move is microscoped, and he's done this 2 years in a row now. Just absolute horrendous roster construction. And what we do? 4-year extension. He really worked his butt off to get to this moment, to put together a absolute contender to compete each and every night. I said it probably over 20 times during the game. It's a guards league, right, Rob? It's a guards league. That's why we have 6 of them. But hey, we view Pat Bev. We're going to look back at this quote, and honestly, probably 3 games from now, but I was probably going to say a couple weeks from now, a month or so, but I'm going to use this quote a lot. Media day, Rob Pelinka comes out. He has the absolute nerve to come out and say, we view Pat Bev as a 3-and-D wing. We view him as a guy who can guard wings. You have lost your mind, Rob. You have lost it, bro. Dude. Jeannie needs to, her brothers, Joe and Jesse, whatever their names are, the people in the scouting department, they need to sit down, have a heart-to-heart with Jeannie, and really change her mind on who she's trusting for advice. I don't know who advised her to give a 4-year extension to Rob. I don't know how she doesn't, because I hope she's the final shot caller in this organization. Probably not, but you don't think signing 6 guards is an issue? Absolutely having 0 wings. We're gonna have Lonnie Walker and Pat Bev on Kawhi and PG in less than 24 hours. Nonetheless, Norman Powell, Robert Covington, Marcus Morris. 4-year extension, by the way. 4 years. 4 more years. Because Genie believes in the head coach and GM having an aligned vision. Well, I don't know what vision they have, because this is not a good one. You know, when they first hired Darvin, they didn't give Frank this option, but which blows my mind. But the Lakers did not allow Frank to have an option in roster construction, which makes zero sense. He was just given a coaching staff, given a roster, and just told, here, put it together, make it work. Granted, got a championship out of it, but so many unnecessary roster moves blew up our championship team. I view that team as better than the championship team. I believe I said last show. Everybody on that post bubble team wanted to run it back. What was stopping Rob from doing that? Caruso, free agent, gets an offer from the Bulls, comes back to the Lakers. Hey, do you guys want to match this offer? No. Oh, okay. I will even take less money to come back to you guys. No, we're good. Walks. That's just an absolute disaster. Absolute disaster. Oh my god. This team, you know, I guess Darvin Ham's right. Just keep shooting threes, and maybe by the grace of God, more threes will fall than 10 for 40. You know, LeBron wasn't great. 3 for 10. AD 0 for 3. Russ 1 for 3. Pat Bev 1 for 5. Our best shooter on our team, Patrick Beverly, 1 for 5 from 3. You know, this team is just really something, bro. Like, I am so interested to see how long it takes for our front office to do something. These first 10 games are going to be an absolute just, it's like going to be walking through Death Valley. You are playing every good team known to man in these first 10 games. I mentioned it, I think, last episode too. You have 2 games against the Jazz thrown into this 10-game stretch. They just beat the Nuggets by 20, so I don't know if we're going to beat them now. They just manhandled the Nuggets, who I viewed as a number 1 seed this year. First game of the year, but good God, like, how the Nuggets get blown out by 20, I'm going to have to watch that game, figure out what happened there. You know, to have the Utah Jazz drop 38 in a quarter is just ludicrous. So that's just not okay. But this 10-game stretch, I'm viewing 3-7 at this point. I'm putting out the faith that we can beat the Jazz. I want to say we can beat Portland. Portland just lost to Sacramento. So I think those 3 are probably the most winnable games. I would say maybe Cleveland, maybe New Orleans. But New Orleans just manhandled the Nets, which the Pelicans look really great, by the way. And the Nets, or not the Nets, the Cavs, they had a really great game against the Raptors. And that's definitely not going to be a win. So I'm interested to see how long this takes the Lakers to really do a wake-up call. Because Woj came out and said they're going to revisit talks around post-Thanksgiving, but that's 20 games into the year, and I don't think you can wait that long if you want to at least make it look like you're salvaging the season, because I know that they don't want to win this year, because this team's already so far gone. I at this point, I don't think there's any trade out there to make us contenders, make us fix our roster problems because Buddy Hield, he shot well today. Throw him into the mix. If Buddy Hield shoots bad one game or has like a bad shooting stretch, and then we're right back at square one. Miles Turner, he's injured now, but if he's not the most knockdown shooter, he's a respectable one, but he's like the rest of our guys who are league average at best. So that doesn't necessarily solve your issues, and that's the best package out there. So this front office really, really has it in store for them. Like, I think regardless of what they do, they're gonna find themselves in a really bad situation, and this offseason is gonna really come back to bite them. Just so many botched opportunities to improve the roster, do whatever it took to just fix the problems we had. But hey, Rob, we're younger than last year. That's basically all you can say. How he improved the roster. We just got younger. We're probably going to be the worst shooting team in the league. I also said it during the game. If I'm any team in the league, I am zoning up on the Lakers and making them shoot threes, making them shoot out of the zone, which looks like a great bet at this point. Shooting 10 for 40. I can expect us shooting worse at this point. But hey, I saw a tweet today as well. Don't know how true it is. I should probably go look and see, but Patrick Beverley on his new podcast, he was saying that Darvin Ham wants the Lakers to shoot 30 to 40 threes a game. 30 to 40 threes a game. And we just saw a first sample size of that bad boy, and oh my god. We are Laker Nation. Let's freaking ride. We are in for a treat each and every single night. To watch this team launch 43s a game, we're going to get, oh my god. I am looking forward to this Clipper matchup. I cannot wait to see how south this goes and how fast it does. And I remember watching that absolute beatdown the Clippers gave us in our rebuilding years when we lost by like 50 something. It was like our worst loss ever. And I think it can get that bad. Like, it's not to mention Kawhi is back, bro. Oh my god, Kawhi's back. I would say LeBron is gonna guard Kawhi, but we're gonna let Kawhi drop like 25 on us before we have LeBron guard him. I just can't wait to see how we guard them defensively, because the Clippers are full of wings, and that's a position we do not have anything of. We just have LeBron, AD, and just 6'3" or lower. So it's gonna be really something, and this season is gonna be a ride, and we're only one game in. And Daniel mentioned it. I honestly can't remember the last time I got that mad at a Laker game. I don't know why I got so mad, because I don't know what I expected, but it's just shooting so many threes that just, they aren't falling. At least trying to attack the basket more. If they pack the paint, then I guess, but you gotta at least attempt to attack the basket more. We're just taking. Granted, LeBron said it. We had so many great looks, but I think it's just the Warriors just giving us great looks because they don't care about us, dude. Every team's just gonna pack the paint, and I saw a picture. Like, LeBron has the ball top of the key, and every Warrior on the court has 1 foot in the paint. 1 foot in the paint. And there's feet in, but it's like 5 to 10 feet. I would probably say like 5 to 7 feet between the Warrior player and the Laker player. That just shows how teams are going to defend us all year long. And we have 81 more to go. If God blesses us, maybe some postseason action. That'll be even more fun to watch. So, Rob, I don't know how the hell you got 4 more years, bro. 4 more years of just garbage. And God bless you, Genie. At least the family's still together in that front office. At least we're still bonded together. And we're all Laker family at the end of the day. That's all that matters. And that makes me happy, Genie. You know, don't don't try to change because clearly this is working out just fine. We're all aligned on a vision. And I cannot wait to see where that vision takes us 4 more years from now. And Lord, I cannot wait to see the late installment of post LeBron and potentially post AD Lakers because ooh, that's gonna be interesting to watch.
Hey man, at least in that post era, at least you have your 2027 first round pick. Now, come on. You should be excited.
Who knows? Maybe Rob will try to make a change. You never know. No. Maybe, as I said, it doesn't hurt to try. Show your fans that you actually care in trying to make the team better. You have a horrendous offseason, you can try to make it better. But you trade those picks for at least on paper good players that fit the team and the NBA needs. That's all I ask. Don't trade 2 picks for this hot garbage. Just be smart. If you don't see a package you don't like, come out and say it. Just say we did not find a package we liked. That's simple. At least try to find something. All I ask for, and we'll see how long I say after these first 10 games we're going to get a real reality check and see where the Lakers go from here. Right now, we have 9 more to go. We'll see how many wins and losses we'll get out. Thank you for listening to my rant, because Jesus Christ, that was way longer than I anticipated. But, you know, Daniel making that little intro just brought back all my feelings from last night and really infuriated me. And I get to witness this all over again for 81 more, and thankfully against our crosstown rivals, which will bring a smile on my face when we get absolutely obliterated by them. But nonetheless, moving on. Fantasy, our first full slate of games kicked off, and good friend Ryan and I, you know, we watched basically 5.5 hours of basketball, and that was very surprisingly to say very draining. I think that's probably the most basketball I've ever consumed in my life, and it was an adventure. You know, fantasy team came out a little slow in the beginning, but overall in the day, fantasy team put up 358 points, which I think that's a major W. Coming off the full first slate of games for the NBA season. No, leading the helm. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander putting up 66 big ones on the Minnesota Timberwolves, which very close game than anticipated. The Timberwolves looked a little suspect, I'm not gonna lie. We'll see how they look moving forward. Anthony Edwards, my second round draft pick, didn't look so hot, missing 13 shots on the night. Didn't really have a great one. 20 fantasy points. I mean, I guess. OG Anunoby putting up 46. Aaron Gordon putting up 50. Valanciunas putting up 40. Royce to 5'9". Royce O'Neal coming in, having a day, stepping up when Dylan Brooks had a little injury. 34 minutes, putting up 39 fantasy points. No, he just kind of did it all out there. I tuned in a little bit. Some gets 3 steals in like a span of 30 seconds. So my dog, my last pick of the draft. He looked great out there. Boyan looked very rocky in the beginning. He was at -3 fantasy points for I think a little over the half of the second quarter. Rebounded for 37 fantasy points, and Dorian Finney-Smith, we have a little nickname for him that's not appropriate for the air, but whatever rhymes with Smith, you can put the pieces together. Played 38 minutes, had a measly 14 fantasy points, which I mean, I guess didn't really get many shots against Phoenix, and the Mavs, on a side note, really choked that game away. They looked like the Game 7 Mavs and then just absolutely folded in that third quarter where the Suns just absolutely turned it on. So overall, very solid first day of fantasy. Probably looking like a 1-0 start. Nick hasn't even, the person I'm playing, Nick, one of our good friends, is not even putting in his players at this moment. So probably going to be a 1-0 start, and I'm happy about my fantasy
first
team.
day of the season. Is he not putting them in already? Wow. So I guess that we get to move on to Dort Vader.
Dort Vader.
Honestly, what a great team. My dog started off top 3 draft choices, and Trae Young, Devin Booker, and Jimmy Butler all got above 50 fantasy points. So can't be too mad about that. My team put up 348 points on the day, just 10 below Matt's. Can't be too upset. Christian Wood, CJ McCollum both had above 38. Christian Wood, 16 straight points there. I mean, that was
guy who will be on my team shortly. Don't worry.
That's not gonna happen. I was in class. I had a god awful 5-hour class on Wednesdays, so I was not able to join the watch party. So it's kind of just checking in on fantasy, and I was kind of disappointed with Christian Wood. And they were just texting me like, "It is your time to give up Christian Wood. Like his time is it's just not gonna be, he's not gonna be on your team for much longer." Then next thing I know, he was at like 15 fantasy points, and I check he's at like 38. I'm like, what the hell happened? So that's kind of what I expected. Hopefully he kind of keeps that up. He was able to get 24 minutes. Hopefully that those numbers can go up a little bit. Isaiah Stewart, who I think was one of my late round picks, got 36. Can't be upset with that. And let's go to the 3 most disappointing players on this fine day. Dort.
Dude, let me tell you, I was watching this Thunder game, and Jesus Christ, don't let this guy shoot threes. Dude, he had one wide open top of the key. Shot it, hit all backboard. Right side of the backboard. He was just scared from shooting at that point on. Every time he was open, he just drove it every single time. But Dort, practice your threes, bro.
Only reason I took Dort, I mean, realistically, from where I kind of drafted him, I mean, things were not looking good regardless. That draft towards the end was kind of getting a little suspect. But last year he averaged 17 points, 33% from 3, and then 48% from the field. And honestly, I thought with an OKC team that realistically didn't really get too much better after Chet, died basically. I thought that he can kind of repeat that success. And I know it's game 1, but he missed 9 field goals. Not really what I'm looking for. Dropped 10 points. I mean, he's the whole branding of my team, so let's hope he could pick it up. Davian Mitchell, who was my very last pick, I think. He had a pretty good season last year. No one really expected anything, and I thought this year, maybe he can provide a little bit more. Played 26 minutes, which is actually pretty good. Dort also played 33 minutes. I mean, we're getting the minutes over here, and Dort dropped 18 fantasy points, and Davian dropped 5.6.
I
So
just saw that.
2 points, 3 rebounds,
Oh,
4 assists, and 1 foul in 26 minutes. I mean, I'm not gonna get mad. It's the first time, first day. At least he's getting minutes that I kind of hoped he'd get, because the Kings are a little, weird. I mean, they have Monk as well, so I mean, they have a lot of guards there that can kind of rotate in and out. So happy that Davian still got the minutes. Just let's get a little bit more fantasy points next time. And then one of my other picks, and then I say 8th round is Kyle Lowry, 35 minutes and 9 fantasy points. 3 turnovers, 4 fouls. Let me see how many field goals did he miss, because I didn't get a chance to watch any of these games. He missed 6. I mean, I didn't really expect anything of him when I drafted him. I didn't really think that he'd be anything crazy, but wow, I did not expect this type of bad. Clearly, from my early reactions post draft, why did I draft Kyle Lowry and Al Horford? Um,
for real.
those are really bad draft picks. But I mean, I'm kind of liking the rest of my team. I still don't know how to say the Chicago Bulls point guard name. I don't think I'll ever know how to say the name. But he dropped 37 fantasy points and in 36 minutes, looked pretty good. The stats line wise, and honestly, the more I got him, I mean, I'm pretty happy with that. Malik Monk rode the bench this day. Had too many players, and thank God I sat him. Had 10 fantasy points in 16 minutes, which I didn't really expect anything out of him. He missed, how many shots did he miss? He missed a good 5 shots. So I mean, can't be perfect, I know it's the first game of the season. Can't expect everyone to get 30 plus, but overall pretty happy with some of my higher choices. Um, and all I'm thinking is, can Jaren Jackson get healthy? Because I'm just ecstatic to drop Al Horford or like Malik Monk whenever he gets healthy. Which only thing I saw is Grizzlies head coach said he's progressing well, and the team hopes he could return the 5-on-5 drills in the next couple of weeks. So,
Yeah.
yikes! I probably won't get him until January or whatever. But I mean, honestly, I knew that going into the season when I drafted him. I just wanted to stash him on my IR and call it a day. But I'm excited for this team. Hopefully, those mid-round picks could step it up a little bit. A little scared, but Reggie Jackson makes his debut tomorrow, so I'm watching that Laker game and I see him hit his good old threes. At least I can smile a little bit when we're down 20.
Oh man. So at least fantasy's going well so far. We'll continue to talk about that as the season goes along. We have coming up on a minute left. We can just speed run some predictions real fast for the Friday night games. Starting off Pelicans Hornets. I'm gonna take the Pelicans. Spurs Pacers. I'm gonna take the Pacers. Bulls at Wizards. I'm gonna take the Bulls. Magic at Hawks. I'm gonna take the Hawks. Raptors at Nets. I'm gonna take the Raptors. Celtics at Heat. I'm gonna take the Celtics. Pistons at New York. I'm gonna take the Knicks. Grizzlies at Rockets. I'm gonna take the Grizzlies. Jazz at Minnesota. Hopefully Minnesota wins that, but we'll see. Um, and then Denver at Golden State. That'll be a good one. But I'll take the Warriors there because of home court advantage. Then the nightcap, we have Phoenix at Portland, and I will be taking the Phoenix Suns in that one.
So Pelicans at Hornets. I'll take New Orleans. Spurs at Indiana. Take Pacers. Chicago at Washington. I'll take the Bulls. Magic at Atlanta. I will take the Hawks. Raptors in Brooklyn. Take the Raptors. Celtics visiting Miami. I'll take the Celtics. Detroit at New York. I'll take the Knicks. Grizzlies at Houston. Grizzlies. Utah at Minnesota. Minnesota. Denver at Golden State. I will take the Warriors, and then Suns at Portland. I'll be rocking with the Suns after tonight.
Alrighty, so that will do it for this episode of the podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. Greatly appreciate it, however you're listening, whether it's YouTube or University Pulse. Thank you for listening. If you're a new listener, we go live on University Pulse every Friday from 4 to 5. So be sure to keep checking us out. Feel free to check us out on socials at the Basketball Maestros on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube as well. So yeah, that'll about do it for this episode, and we will see you guys next time.